Sierra Leone is a small country in coastal West Africa, bordering Guinea to the north and east and Liberia to the southeast. It has a special significance in the history of the transatlantic slave trade. It was a departure point for thousands of West African captives. The capital, Freetown, was founded as a home for repatriated former slaves in 1787. It's a predominantly Muslim nation, though with a large Christian minority. Sierra Leone is ranked as one of the most religiously tolerant nations in the world. Sierra Leone is rich in diamonds and other minerals, but the trade in illicit gems, known as blood diamonds, had a big role in funding conflicts. In 2002, with the help of Britain, the former colonial power, and a large United Nations peacekeeping mission, Sierra Leone emerged from a decade of cruel civil war that had caused at least 75,000 deaths. The infant mortality rate, which until 2005 was the highest in the world, is largely caused by malaria, diarrhea, malnutrition, and common infections. Economic recovery has been slow, partly because the reconstruction needs are great. Around half of the government revenue comes from foreign donors. The restoration of peace was expected to aid the country's promotion as a tourism destination in the long term. Sierra Leone, in fact, boasts miles of beautiful beaches along its Atlantic coast. The country has relied on mining, especially diamonds, for its economic base, and it's among the top 10 diamond-producing nations in the world, and mineral exports remain the country's main foreign currency earner. Sierra Leone is also among the largest producers of titanium and bauxite, and a major producer of gold. Sierra Leone is also home to the third largest natural harbour in the world, where shipping from all over the globe dock at Freetown's famous Queen Elizabeth II Quay. But despite this natural wealth, over 70% of its people live in poverty. India is a country in South Asia. In size, it is the 7th largest country of the world, and it is the second most populated, with over 1.2 billion people. It is the most populous democracy in the world. 4 of the world's major religions, Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Sikhism, originated here, whereas Zoroastrianism, Christianity, and Islam arrived in the first millennium. India has been able to include all its different features in a multi-form but integrated civilization. However, communal, caste, and regional tensions continue to be the challenges of Indian politics, sometimes threatening its long-standing democratic and secular ethos. In terms of nominal gross domestic product, the Indian economy is the world's 9th largest, and it is the 4th largest by purchasing power parity. The country has a burgeoning urban middle class and has made great strides in the fields such as information technology. Its large, skilled workforce makes it a popular choice for international companies seeking to outsource work. However, it continues to face the challenges of poverty, illiteracy, corruption, and inadequate public health. The vast mass of the rural population still remains impoverished. The 4th largest country in South America and one of the continent's most populous nations, Colombia has substantial oil reserves and is a major producer of gold, silver, emeralds, platinum, and coal. Colombia is the 4th largest economy in Latin America. However, the country's income and wealth are unevenly distributed. Colombia was the first constitutional government in South America, and the liberal and conservative parties, founded in 1848 and 1849 respectively, are 2 of the oldest surviving political parties in the Americas. Colombia has been ravaged by decades-long violent conflict involving outlawed armed groups, drug cartels, and gross violations of human rights. Although since 2002, the country has made some progress towards improving security. Colombia is very ethnically diverse, with interaction between descendants of the original native inhabitants, the Spanish colonialists, Africans brought as slaves, and immigrants from Europe and the Middle East. Its territory was originally inhabited by indigenous people, including the Muscan Tairona. The Spanish arrived in 1499 and initiated a period of conquest and colonization. The Colombian society is a highly stratified society, and the traditionally rich families of Spanish descent have benefited from this wealth to a far greater degree than the majority of the mixed-race population. With few avenues for social mobility, this provided a natural constituency for left-wing insurgents. A vast percentage of its population is poor and socially marginalized. Yet there is a sense in Colombian society of the need to guarantee the rights of all its citizens to food security, health, and education. Lebanon is a country in Western Asia on the eastern shore of the Mediterranean Sea. It is bordered by Syria to the north and east and Israel to the south. Lebanon is known for its unique efforts in the Middle East to guarantee civil rights and freedom to its citizens, ranking first in the Middle East and 26th in the World Justice Project's Rule of Law Index 2011. This is the reason why Lebanon has remained free of the Arab Spring confrontations. Lebanon has been recovering well from the consequences of the bloody Lebanese civil war that continued between 1975 and 1990. By 2006, Beirut's reconstruction was almost complete, and increasing numbers of tourists were pouring into the nation's resorts. When the Hezbollah militia seized 2 Israeli soldiers in a raid in an area under Israeli occupation, and Israel responded with a violent offensive that left around 2,000 Lebanese injured and dead, the vast majority of them being civilians. The damage to civilian infrastructure and to the peace processes in the region was wide-ranging. Lebanon, with the assistance of foreign donors, is once again on its way to a fast recovery. Syria is a country on the eastern Mediterranean Sea, bordering Lebanon to the west, Turkey to the north, Iraq to the east, Jordan to the south, and Israel to the southwest. It covers an area that has seen many foreign occupations, but Damascus has always maintained a status of a regional capital. During the Roman Empire, Syria comprised the whole region of the Levant. In 1946, Syria attained independence from colonialist France, which however split a part of its territory in what is now called Lebanon. A part of Syria, the Golan Heights, is under occupation by Israel since 1967. Syria has been one of Israel's harshest opponents, supporting also many resistance groups in Palestine and Lebanon. Syria has recently abolished the emergency law which was effectively limiting civil rights since 1962, but political unrest has increased since then. The government has responded with violent repressions that have attracted wide international condemnation. On the internet, there is extensive video documentation of civilian protesters being fired upon by Syrian security, along with images posted by the Syrian government of the casualties amongst its servicemen that the Syrian government attributes to an armed insurgency prompted by hostile foreign powers. The Washington Post recently published the U.S. State Department's secret records leaked in the WikiLeaks about U.S. secret backing of Syrian opposition. The European Union has been the main donor in Syria, and in the last decades it has been assisting Syria in its efforts to improve the welfare of its population. However, the violent repression of political demonstrations has created a political gap. Bilateral government aid has been suspended, but cooperation with Syrian civil society remains in force.